Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Mystical and Mysteries, the podcast. Today, I have with me Eli Stewart. You guys know him, you know what he does. I'm super excited about doing this episode with Eli um, because he is my mystic man. He was born and raised in this, I don't know, what do you call it? You're born and raised in this stuff. And I was completely opposite in my raising. And so I've learned a lot from Eli and when it comes to the woo woo. And I'm just excited to have you here, buddy. Thank you for hanging out with me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's always a
So
good time when I get to hang
uh,
out with you.
uh, we do. We have a good time, and then we just have like diarrhea of the mouth, and it doesn't stop. So, or I should say, I have diarrhea of the mouth, and it doesn't stop. Um, so if people want to get a hold of you, tell me, and I'm going to have it linked in the descriptions below. But tell them where you can be found.
I am trying to do more with social media, but the best place is probably my website,
Okay.
psychicspirit.art.
Okay. Cool. And I will tell you, and I don't know, are you giving readings and stuff like that still?
Yes.
Cool. So then I'm going to brag on him because Eli gave me, so I had been wanting to do a reading with Eli forever. And it, for whatever reason, never matched up. I went through some crazy shit and I was just like, now's the time. Now's the time to connect with Eli. And I had such a great reading with you. It really inspired me. It kind of put me in the direction I think that I needed, like that push a little bit. And yeah, it was great. Ever since then, I just kind of like, so I still look at that reading, look at those notes, look at the things that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy because it didn't make sense then, or it made kind of sense, but then it took a totally different meaning later on. And I was like,
hmm
oh, that's why I didn't truly understand that because it hadn't happened yet. And so I love it. So I highly recommend Eli for readings if he's available, do it. You won't be disappointed. But the reason why we're here today is because I felt such a huge pull. In fact, we were going to do with a whole huge roundtable for a John Doe. I had that scheduled next. And I don't know, the stars and the universe was pulling me to do this episode. I think it's really important that I get it out before the end of August, and I'll explain to you why I felt that way. But today's episodes is about dreams and premonitions from dreams and that kind of stuff. And are you, I don't know, Eli, do you dream and then dream predictions or just dream that things that like make sense to you at the time or like ends up coming true?
Like I'm a big dreamer. Uh, I've always had predictive dreams, but
Mm-hmm.
it was either a little too far ahead for me to understand when I have the dream or I misinterpret something. It took me a long time to start to be able to figure out, like, oh, this is about me, my life individually, and something that's coming up there versus, like, oh, that has no bearing to me. It's happening on an entirely different stage, possibly the world stage. Um, but but I also it's so weird. I have a group of folks that I tend to sync dreams up with. Like I have a couple of friends that when I do have kind of a dream that I feel like is a more of a world prediction than a personal prediction, I
Mm-hmm.
can usually holler up at them and they've had this it's something similar. Like we
Right.
always find a dovetail in the dream and we're able to kind of figure it out from there. But yeah, I for right when the Ukraine Russia war started, I was having a lot of the war dreams, and that sort of um, I it started disturbing me, and so I kind of asked to have it step away,
Right.
and and I've never fully like gotten back to the frequency that I was having, sort of predictive dreams at that point,
Yes.
but they do still happen.
Yeah. I know mine kind of goes in waves too. Like I call them the dream season. I don't know why, but it's summertime. I tend to dream so much more. Wintertime, I almost it's not that it goes dormant, but it's not as frequent and it's not as memorable. And I had started getting into the habit of writing down my dreams, and it still didn't click to me that my dreams were every single dream I've had is predictive until
Hmm.
like the last 2, 3 years. And I'm not kidding when I say every freaking single dream where I'm like, oh, that's such a weird dream. And then lately, I don't know what triggered it, but I was like, oh, I'm just curious. And so I would like Google some information of the dream that I had, boom, pops up. And I'm just like, wait, what? That really happened? And then I can look at the pictures or look at something and I'm like, that is exactly what I saw. That is crazy.
Hmm.
And there's no rhyme or reason for me. So I do, and I've always known, I mean, I've dreamt since I was a kid. So always predictive. I remember dreaming about tsunamis and so world events like that, like that type of stuff. Um, and then other just weird just shit, like just weird shit. So here's an example, and actually I have my TikTok account, and I really did that for my dream stuff, like just to put it out there and see what matches, or see if like if I can't find it, I've had other people call me and be like, oh my god, that happened in Alaska. I'd be like, wait, what? And so like that's something that sticks out to me. I had a dream last summer. Yeah, it was the summer of 25. And I just saw this like silver round thing in the air.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'm not going to name it, right? We are taught not to name it. So I'm not going to name it. But I saw people sitting with their backs towards the center and their knees out. And then I saw like a green field and like mountains in the background. It was all green.
Hmm.
And and I remember there was like a thing on this, like coming out of this round thing out of the corner, and it looked like a collapsed parachute. And I was like, okay, this is so freaking weird. But then it was going down and up, and I could feel the wind. So I thought in my dream that the wind was carrying this thing because it kept going down and up, down and up. And I remember when I did the video, which is on TikTok, and I said, I feel like this is a carnival ride. I don't know what it is. So I'm going to tell you it reminds me of a carnival ride, but the background makes no sense to me. So I
Hmm.
was like, it's really weird. Well, lo and behold, the next morning, I just thought, well, I'll take a peek. And I found it. And it was a carnival ride that the arm collapsed, and they were going up and then back and then up. And then you see the arm collapse and they came straight down, because that's what I felt in my dream. It went up, down, and then came straight down. And I woke up when it hit the ground. And I was
Oof,
just
that's
like,
always the
that
worst, the
is,
landing.
yeah. Oh, right. So I was like, this is so weird. The name of the amusement park was Green Mountain Amusement Park. And the amusement park was in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, wow.
So why? Do you know what I mean? Like, why would I pick that up? It makes no sense to me. Or is it just to prove that the dreams that I am having are predictive dreams and they do come true, no matter where in the world it might be? I don't know, but the significance of why I would dream about something that would happen in Saudi Arabia makes no sense to me.
And the why is always the hard part with the dreams,
Yeah.
because the way we typically think about dreams, there is a why,
Yeah.
because typically dreams are helping us decompress from our day to day, and certainly I know my dreams have a great deal of like that psychological component, so that's part of it.
Yeah.
But as to the why, it's always seemed rather random to me too, and I have found that I'm more likely to have a dream where I have somebody I care about who has a stake in it. Like, um, oh, that day that had a lot of the big earthquakes around the rim of fire,
Mm,
um, just in the past month or two.
yeah.
Um, that I had been having a couple of earthquake dreams leading up to that, and our daughter lives in Alaska, so that was kind of where I was centering it on. And then once I kind of heard about that, I was like, oh, okay, this
That
this
makes
makes some sense.
sense.
But
But you
a
have that
lot of the
connection to Alaska.
right, but a lot of the times it's like, okay, what does this like? I have a harder time being able to understand before feedback
Yeah.
when it's less personal.
Yes.
The probably the most remarkable dream that I had um, recently was right before we had the shooter on campus at MSU a couple years
Oh,
ago,
yes. I remember that.
and it was super weird because I had a lot of personal ties. I'd been a an advisor for a couple of groups on campus
Right.
before, and um, the building where it had happened was where we like met a lot, and I kept having it centered around that and just couldn't figure out. A friend of mine who moved to Wisconsin, she had taught at MSU as a grad student, and she had taught classes in there in that building. She started having gun dreams as well, and then it happened, and we were like, "Oh, okay, this is you know." But it always it's never enough to let us make any real changes. Like
Right.
there's not an intervention capability
Right.
there. So it feels like a really kind of almost shitty party trick at times.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and then I think sometimes, do you think that maybe we have these dreams so that we have the empathy to feel it in case we are called for the aftermath
absolutely.
ratings, victims, like that kind of stuff. Sometimes I think that too, like I'm supposed to know what it felt like
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
experience, I don't know, my dreams, I'm like in my dreams. I might be somebody else, but I'm in that dream experiencing the whole thing. And the reason why I told you about that dream with the carnival is because
Hmm.
I do feel that I also get a lot of symbolism. Like, look at, it was the Green Mountains on in a field, and I was like, okay, that's a really, and I couldn't see the actual whole ride. I just saw the
Hmm.
round part. So there's the Green Mountains. It was called Green Mountain Amusement Park or something, and then the collapsed parachute. Well, I was wondering if that's how they were trying to get me to understand that it collapsed, even though I didn't see
Yeah.
the whole thing. I mean, if I saw the arm break, I'm going to know it collapsed. But why did I see it as a parachute? Like it just weird stuff like that. And so I feel like there's sometimes it's hard for me to decipher what is symbolism and what's real. So I just say, I'm just going to give it to you the way I have. And please know this could be like not exactly how it goes, but there's could be some symbolism into this dream. But for me too, there's no established pattern for, okay, I'm going to dream tonight and it's going to come true tomorrow. Or I'm going to dream
Hmm.
tonight and it's going to come true next month. Or I'm going to dream tonight. There's none. Sometimes it's immediate and sometimes it's not. And do you do the same?
Yes. And for me, and again, this is one of those things like you really don't know until after the fact. But if I get it well in advance,
Yeah.
then I will usually have repeats of the dream. And usually that will be something where planning is involved. Like natural disaster things, I get
Yeah.
it a day or two ahead, or maybe a week leading up to it, maybe.
Yeah.
But other things where there's intent behind it and planning that happens and that energy
Yeah.
kind of goes out. I'll get it more ahead of time, but
Mm-hmm. Oh,
never
that's
have
a
a way to
good
define
point. Yes.
it. Well, and so thinking about like the parachute and everything in your dream, we also have to realize that our subconscious is still trying to protect us.
Yeah.
Like And especially when we're engaged in a dream, everything feels so much more real. And if it feels real, then it is real in that dream space. And so our subconscious is going to do what it can to soften the blow or to make it more palatable or at least less traumatic.
Right.
Um,
That's a really good point. Because that's something I forget. You know what I mean? Like, that's a
it's
really
so
good
easy
point.
to forget.
Yeah.
It's especially when we're talking about dreams because it's already such a weird space. It's already kind of like hard to talk about because
Yeah.
all of those things that we agree on in objective reality and can kind of talk around, those rules don't necessarily exist.
Right.
Whether it's a predictive dream or not.
That's very true.
And our minds like to give us the path of least resistance in terms of how that information is going to come across. And so it's only natural that a lot of symbolism gets wrapped in there because symbols can convey a lot more information more quickly than objective viewing of something.
True, true. Yeah. Those are really, really good points. Um, I know that sometimes when I'm working on a case, I will have dreams about the victim. And I do get that. That for me makes total sense because it's a crime. So I get the softened version, but I know what happened. Like I can feel, even though I don't maybe not see the murder weapon, I can feel it. Like I know it's a
Mm-hmm.
gun. Or sometimes I do a little thing in my dream, which is super weird. But in my dream, I'll say, okay, put out your hand, look at your arms. Am I male or female? What color am I? I do things like that in my dream. So I'm like conscious enough to make sure I try to look at myself. And then sometimes I'll
Mm-hmm.
say, here, put it in my hand. And then I'll say, oh, yeah, it's heavy and it's small and I can wrap my hand around it. Yep, I thought it was a gun, but now I know it's a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Things
Yeah.
like that. Um, and I do know, I don't know if I ever tried it with anything else, but when I dream about cases, I will ask to dream that night and I'll say, okay, I'm asking you to come forward, come into my dreams, show me what happened, show me what I missed, things like that. And I'll dream about it. So I always call it dreaming on demand. Does it
Mm-hmm.
always happen? No. But I figured it only happens when it's supposed to happen or when it's necessary that I get that information immediately. So I don't know. Do you do the dreaming on demand
Um,
or have you tried
Somewhat.
it?
I've tried it. And I do I for personal stuff, I'll do like dreaming sedation where, you go to sleep with an intent of like addressing some kind of challenge that you're
Yeah.
experiencing in life or wanting to work through something. And that will happen um in the dream space. So that will happen pretty consistently, but when I've been working cases, um, I've noticed that I will do a session, and especially if the session feels more scattered, I'm not able to ground a lot of the impressions, or I'm just getting kind of a hodgepodge of things.
Right.
I've noticed that I will have a dream, usually that night, uh, about about the case, and it'll straighten a few things out. It won't wrap it up in a nice bow and present it super easily, but
Right.
I can usually ferret a few things out. Like I have no natural sense of direction whatsoever, but a lot of times it'll be in the dream that I'll get kind of identifiers for the location. Like,
Right.
oh, this is definitely California. Like,
Yeah. Isn't that
um,
funny?
yeah, and so it can be helpful when I've um, paired what I've dreamt back with the session, um, but it also makes me very nervous to do that. I don't know why. Like I'm hesitant to work the dreams into or pair the dreams with the impression uh, from it, and it might. I think it's a me thing.
Right.
Like I think I'm more I don't know, myth that I'm not getting all the information in the session, and it
Right.
almost feels like a catch up session in the dream. But yeah, that has happened. I I get a lot of the natural disaster stuff in and of itself. Like that tends to happen more often than not. Um, if there's a big natural disaster kind of event,
Yeah.
um, then I usually get a day or two ahead. Um,
Yeah.
but with with dreaming, I also there are a lot of tools that can get used and sometimes get overused. Like a lot of people find that if they haven't been on melatonin, that they'll start remembering more of their dreams if they start taking a low dose.
Hmm.
But then you're addicted to melatonin, you know,
Yeah.
just to get a good night's sleep. I use mugwort a lot for helping enhance a lucidity in the dream and being able to get more information and really to just remember more about it.
Yes.
And I for a while I was working with one of my guides who when I was trying to make more sense of my dreams. And I took it as far as I could at that time. This was
Right.
probably 10, 15 years ago. Um, but just working with the guides and setting the intention, I started getting so much more information in the dreams um, across the board, more predictive information, more memory of working through personal stuff. Um,
Right.
it was actually, I had a series of dreams that finally like gave me the kick in the butt, like, okay, yeah, it's time for therapy. Like let's organize and sort in here and get things more settled. And so, um, but I've also had a lot of just weird things that um, I had a dream about. Gosh, it was a. I think I even mentioned it on the podcast once. This parapsychologist and something about the dream. He was pointing me to his kids who were uh, performing some music, and I look it up a day or two later, and it's like, oh my, holy hell! His kids actually are musicians, and the one kid's name was Cosmo, and so it wasn't like it might be like no, if I'm dreaming of a Cosmo,
Right.
that I'm finding this. I have no reason why. I mean, it's fun music, but it didn't have any particularly deep spiritual significance to me. I'm glad I found it,
Right.
but I also think that that's part of the nature of dreaming. It
Yeah.
is it's kind of like fishing. You can have all the intent in the world, use the right bait, you can use the right poles, you can do everything right and still end up with a bucket full of minnows.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't think, who knows, and maybe I just don't look at it that way. But sometimes when I wake up, I'll say, oh, I feel totally pulled to this or that or this person or that situation or and sometimes I'll be like, no, I don't know what I'm being pulled to yet. I don't
Yeah.
really look at myself, but there are weird things that happen. Like, for an example, I had a dream one time. It was me because I could actually see me in the dream.
Hmm.
And there was like ping pong balls and they were all lined up on the part of my hair. They were just like ting, 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 ting. And I was like, what the hell is this? And when I grabbed it, it had teeth. And I literally had to like pull it out of my hair. And I was like, what the hell does this mean? And that, but it was so crystal clear that it was one of those dreams that means something. So I was
Hmm.
like, so interesting. It bothered me. And it wasn't until like the next day that I said, nope, it's not coming to me. I'm just going to start Googling weird shit. And lo and behold, I can't even remember what my search words were, but this big article about calcification on the pineal gland came up.
Hmm.
And I was like, no shit, because it just rang true. I was like
Hmm.
immediately pulled to that article and I was like, what are the odds that this would pop up? Which makes sense because like my mom has dementia, like things like that made me like, okay, so I need to take these things off and I'm going to need to start doing better brain health. And I have been ever since. regardless if
Mhm.
it's for dementia or Alzheimer's or calcification of the pineal gland. Like,
Right.
because calcification happens naturally anyways, but if we can not help it along, like get rid of the fluoride or get rid of this. So I became kind of a nut when it came to my brain health. And it was all because of that dream. Like
And
crazy.
that is so, I think that that is such an interesting occurrence because so much of the brain health stuff that we've had talked about in the past that has been considered very fringe is actually becoming more and more supported by more and more neuroscientists.
Yeah.
And it's like mind-boggling to me, like how far in advance some people can get very direct guidance on things that really only make sense way later on down the
Yes.
road.
Yeah.
Um, I had a dream at one point um, when I was at the height of having a seizure disorder and my health was just absolute crap. I started having dreams about bread, and at the time I had no idea what it meant, but
Right. Right.
I kept like throwing bread away, or there was a weird dream where I was chewing ice and tossing bread off of a boat, and and I kept having like all of these weird bread dreams, and they finally went away. But then several years later, like I had a friend who went gluten free because of health stuff, and she was telling me all the reasons why, and I was like, wait, I have every single symptom she's talking about. Tell me more
Yeah.
about this gluten free thing. And lo and behold, I go gluten free, and
You
like
feel
three
like a
months
million
later,
bucks.
3 months later, my seizures went away. Like just
Yeah.
they started fading, and then as soon as it was like out of my system for any consistent amount of time, they went away. And when I say they went away, like without medication, without any further like shift in the diet,
Yep.
it was so weird. But it can be so profound, especially when it is hitting on that personal level.
Yep.
And when it's hitting on the world stage, it can still be quite profound, just in a different kind of sense.
Yeah. That's why
Um,
I encourage everybody to write their dreams down. And
mhm,
and the best advice I think that I ever got from this lady named Terry, excuse me, she was like, write it down, but before you do anything, she did a class with Pam. That's
mhm.
and that's how I remember this. It was like dream class. And she said before you wake up or really wake up from your dream, don't open your eyes. Don't open your eyes and try to go through your dream again. And then slowly roll over, grab your pad of paper and your pen, and then write it down. Because she goes, sometimes if you open your eyes, it's like gone. And I'll be damned if that's not true for me. If I open my eyes right away, not all of them, but for the most part, if I open my eyes and roll over fast or like quickly trying to, I will be like, are you kidding me? Wait, wait. And it's like right there. And I get so pissed. I'm like, damn it. Cause it was totally interesting. Like it was like, that's why I rolled over. It's because I knew I needed to write this down. And yeah, that was the best piece of advice. So if you guys, and then like you said, sometimes we have like those weird ass dreams. You write it down, you forget about it. You can't, you can't attach it. Well, and if you're not big into dreaming yet, you don't even think about trying to attach your dreams to anything. You're just writing them down. But there's a time, like maybe in the future, that all of a sudden you're like, wait, I'm pretty sure I had a dream about that. That you have the luxury of going back and being like, no way. And then you can actually go back to when you remember that particular dream and then all the dreams in between there. And when you found out, you're like, holy shit, I think all of these dreams might be all trying to tell me this thing that happened right here. And
Mhm.
yeah, that was the best piece of advice I think that I ever learned was to get a dream book, to write it all down as best to our ability. Don't try to interpret it right away. Just write it down. And then if you have like notes, like I woke up and I felt pulled towards to write all that stuff down. And so I've learned all of that. And wow, was that a game changer for me? And I do want to get into some of the predictive dreams that I had, and I believe they were all about Charlie Kirk and his assassination. Um, and again, I have all these dreams on my TikTok shop, at my TikTok page, and it was like random dreams. Like, this is weird. This is weird. This is weird. Okay, I'm just gonna write them down. And then my interpretation at the time, because I didn't know, now I could be like, that is what that meant. Oh my God. But you just don't know until you start doing it. And I don't know.
There's so much about dreaming that is so interesting and bizarre and weird. Like I'm I've I've been really interested in shared dream spaces, and um I've weirdly thought it was just me, like everybody. I kept having these dreams about like an abandoned mall, and everything kind of centered around this weird abandoned mall. And I'd sketch it out and kept trying to figure out, why am I dreaming about this mall? And
Right.
fast forward a few years, and as I'm going through YouTube or whatever, I start seeing this. I see this podcast from this lady who was talking all about this mall that everybody seems to be dreaming about. And she had all of these people on, like talking about this mall. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I've been there. Like
Yeah.
that's so weird.
Yeah.
Um, it's so it, so to me, there's something so interesting about when we start getting overlaps in dreams.
Yeah.
And I think that that's so it can be so helpful if we could just sort of yoke it and steer it and drive it a little bit. So
Right. But yeah. And I do try to stay away from like news. I don't like watching the news anyways, because everybody's a big
same.
freaking liar and I don't like it. I don't care. For me, politics is not left and right anymore. Like I just feel like think I'm turning into a conspiracy theorist, and it's only because I dream about things and then they start to happen, and I'm just like, no, that's like they're lying, but like on both sides, and about I really feel like
Stupid thing.
stupid shit, and I'm stupid shit, and it's creating division, and it's
Yeah.
creating havoc, and it's creating misinformation, and when I see that, and let me tell you, I have been talking about the news media for years. I mean, I can even remember thinking, um, maybe it was late teens, 16, 17 years old, somewhere around there, watching news with my parents. And I was just like, that guy's lying. I just knew he was lying. I'm like, he's not telling the whole truth. He's not lying, but he's not telling the whole truth. It's not exactly how it happened. But I started to notice that it started getting worse in my 20s. Like suddenly, it wasn't just reporting news, it was reporting bias. And how I figured that out, don't even ask. I have no idea, but it was something that I felt so strongly in my bones that it makes me nuts. And so when I hear the extremists on both sides, it makes me want to go smack, smack, and it's a ploy. Knock it off. You're feeding into it. Like and it's very difficult for me because I just want to be like strangle people. But I also know what was the other thing? Religion is another one for me. I know that's a kind of a touchy subject, and I'm very faithful, and I do believe in a higher power. And I don't know if I can tell you I really believe in religion, but I
Mhm.
don't. It to me, I have a hard time with that. And then
Yeah.
I hear all the coconuts out there with you gotta pay money, don't put your money in the plate, fuck off. Like and so I try to tell people all the time, you can practice what you preach, you can follow the word of God, because I don't know what else to call them, or universe or whatever you want to call them. And then when my favorite conversation with people that are super religious, I know this is not nice, but it's kind of fun for me, is I'll just say, you do know it's all one God. It just depends on where you are in the world that you see them in different things, in different forms, in different factions. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. So whatever you want to call it, just call it that. But
Hmm.
I don't have to follow a book to do the right thing, to be a good person, to do what I need to do to like let my light shine and whatever. And I don't need to go to a building every Sunday to be told to do good.
Hmm.
I already practice what I preach. But I do not shame anybody that feels like they need to go, whether it's for camaraderie, that kind of stuff. If you feel like you need to go, go. Like I'm not against that either. But don't
But
fucking poo poo on me because I don't go.
there is power in community, and
Yes, there
let's,
is.
let's be honest. The church was the center point for community for so long,
Yes.
and it's kind of baked into our culture. And I see a great deal of good that is done by community organizations
Yep.
that are like dovetailed to churches or maybe even a part of a church. But I also see a lot of harm in that sense of division. And
Yeah.
I'm with you. It's just not, I don't think it's beneficial to keep looking for all the differences anymore. Like
Yeah.
because we've individuated. Like
Yes.
societally, we are all like on our own paths. We're all very aware of all of the differences,
Yeah.
and we're still having a problem because we're not celebrating them
Right.
instead we're judging from them, and it's and
Or hiding
I'm
behind it.
yeah, and I'm with you in
Yeah.
terms of the I have felt like a slide into like conspiracy theory land over the past 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
um, just so intensely. And I was kind of conspiracy theory-ish. Like I wouldn't poo-poo it. Like there's
Right.
never been anything I've heard that I'm just like,
No, you're wrong.
I right, like everything. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, like I can't refute that,
Right.
I don't it doesn't feel right to me, but I can't refute it. So, have at. But yeah, it's crazy. And the sense of division that is so prominent
Yeah.
everywhere, and I think it I think it has to be intentional on the part of a lot of the media. It
Yeah.
it just doesn't we can't be this divided and it not be somebody's
Intentional.
plan.
Oh, 100%. A hundred
So,
percent. And yeah, I mean, there's a few phrases that really, really bother me. When I hear people say, "Oh, she's a good Christian woman." Why? I mean, she's just a good woman. You know what I mean? Like
right.
that. Just it. That doesn't. You don't even need to add that word in there. But that's the division, right?
Yeah.
Or just shit like that. Like, and I just sit there, or I'm sorry, you're doing a religion, and then someone else from a different religion says, that's wrong. Like, no, it's not wrong.
No.
It's how they want to practice. Just leave it go, let it go. And it those little things bother me. And I tell you, I agree with you. Judgmental. Um, I said it's crazy. And then hiding behind the church. Well, I don't like that because it's not Christian, or I don't like that. It just, doing some really shady shit and then hiding behind the church. And that just makes
And
me go, oh, stop.
right. And when you get into these organized religions, there's so much trauma that happens because,
Yeah.
there is such a strong dogmatic role that has to be played. And I don't, I, ooh, trying to yank everything down here. Uh, I don't see how, I don't see how someone can find such value in their identity, including in a Christian
Yeah.
identity, and then at the same time tear down somebody else's
Belief.
identity. Yeah, why is someone else not able to have that same sort of sense of identity? How can you not respect the same thing that you want respect for
Yeah.
and demand it. And that to me has always bothered me. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, and I will be the first to admit I have a really hard time meeting some people in the middle. I tend to keep my mouth shut on a lot of stuff because I'm like way further outside of like the central sphere in terms of a lot of my beliefs, and I know that.
Yeah.
And having grown up in Virginia, I learned very quickly that you have to be careful with what you share.
Yes. Yeah.
And and it but it's such a societal sickness that we have today, that sense of
Yeah.
division.
Yeah. I
And
agree. I totally agree. And it's just yeah, it gets a little crazy. So I think it's really funny too that, if I say, well, I'm a psychic medium, these are impressions that I've picked up, poo-pooey. However, if I say, oh, I had a dream and these are the impressions that I picked up, super acceptable.
hmm
Super
yes,
acceptable. People are like, that's crazy. What? Oh, and then it doesn't matter what your background is. If you're churchy, you're not churchy, whatever, everybody can accept a dream.
yeah,
I'm like, what do you think dreams are? Yes, I get a lot of my stuff in dream, but in the dream state, but my impressions outside the dream state or dream state is just as strong. So I'm
hmm
like, okay. So it depends on who I'm talking to. Sometimes I do say, oh yeah, that crazy dream I had, and this is what I got. And then they're just like, oh my gosh, let's write that down, blah, blah, blah. But if I say, oh my God, I got this psychic impression and this is what I got, then they're just like, you are the devil.
yeah,
Or I work within Christ consciousness. That's how I see it. So I'm like, I don't really touch all the low end stuff, and my vibrations I feel like are pretty high. So I'm like, I'm not, I don't know. So when people look at me and think that, what I do is evil or the devil's work, I just like, for me, it's a huge eye roll because I just feel like, how naive are you? Maybe it's because we live several lives, Eli. We get it. I don't know.
yeah.
Just like,
Well, and so honestly, and I've been thinking about this kind of a lot. Like psychics are just another form of neurodivergence, and so we've had to go through life kind of getting shit because of our senses and what we pick
yeah,
up with our senses, and it creates a particular type of anxiety
yeah,
that I think that the closest thing that we have something for is a type of anxiety that's explicitly experienced by people with autism and ADHD because
yeah,
of them having to fit themselves into this socially acceptable format, which is in essence what we have to do with all of our psychic stuff
yeah,
if we're going to share it, or we just shut it down, ship it to the back, and sit on it for the rest of our lives. And
yeah.
I don't see that as being very healthy either.
Right. No, it's not. And I did that, when I was little. I talked to people and didn't even know that they were dead. I just thought they were people in my house. And
Yeah,
why I wasn't scared, I was never scared. I never was spooked. That's a lie. For the most part, if I saw people, they were usually cool. It was when I couldn't see them, but I could feel them and I could hear them that I would
yeah,
be like, what's around me? And I remember in my hallway, for whatever reason, in my childhood home, it was like that. It was like Spirit Highway. It was like people there all the time. And that's where I would always see them. And so when I saw them, I wasn't scared. It's when I didn't see them that I would be like, so I'd have a dream and I'd get up. My parents' bedroom was across my hallway. And I would stop. It was like I would stop at my door threshold because in my room I was safe. In my parents' room, I was safe. And so,
hmm
and I would be in my doorway and I'd be like, hey, Mark, get set, go. And I run and I could hear, what are you doing? Go back to bed, like voices. And for a long time, I'm like, am I crazy? Like that's the part that would make me feel crazy. Even as a kid, But like I said, I have conversations with, I had my fat lady and skinny lady, and they were definitely from the Victorian times. Now I know, but then I didn't get it. Um,
Hmm.
and have conversations with them. And they were always
Oh yeah.
around, and I don't know who they were. I think it was a connection to a past life, only because segue into weird past life dreaming. I don't know if you've ever had a dream where you think you saw yourself in a past life,
Hmm.
but let me tell you, this dream was so freaking weird. And this is how I know for a fact it was a past life dream was, I was holding a movie camera. Look the way I am right now.
Hmm.
And I was wearing jeans and a sweatshirt. And I was holding a movie camera and I was looking through the lens. And when I was looking through the lens, it showed me a Victorian living room. It had purple velvet couch and seat, smaller seat and a larger seat and a table, a coffee table in the middle. I had a big fireplace behind me. There was a huge mirror and there was like little trinkets on my fireplace mantle. And I was standing there in Victorian skirt and shirt with the high collar and the little choker thing, but I had a shell and a feather, and I was saging the room. And I was thinking, this is the weirdest freaking dream because I knew here I am. So somehow, me, myself in jeans and sweatshirt ended up being in that living room. And I was looking around, and I can tell you what that house looked like on the first floor, at least, because I was just like, oh, there's the dining area, and I could see everything. And I thought, I, I lived here before. And then I woke
Hmm.
up and I was like, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Now, the fat lady and skinny lady never believed I had parents in this lifetime or in this lifetime when I was little. And I would always say,
Hmm.
yes, I do. Yes, I do. And weird, weird fact. I became later in life a foster parent. And I don't know why. I don't know why. I thought like, let's do this. And we adopted my son. My son was a foster son, and then we adopted him. And well, no, he's just our son. And I always told my son, like, we absolutely knew each other in a different life. I don't know how, but he and I are super connected. And
Hmm.
but I just thought it wasn't until I was talking to another friend that she's like, isn't that weird that your fat lady and skinny lady never believed you had parents, and then now you're a foster parent and then an adoptive parent? And I said, you know what else is weird is when I was younger, I used to tell people I used to have foster brothers. I have a biological brother who, by the way, just passed away yesterday. Um,
Oh, sorry to
uh,
hear.
yeah, he was super sick, but we knew it was coming eventually. I knew it was going to be, yeah, I knew he wasn't going to last the year, but he shockingly passed yesterday. Um, but I used to tell people I have a foster brother when I have a biological brother. I don't know why. I don't know why I used to tell people that. And now I'm thinking maybe I was an adoptive kid. Maybe I was in an orphanage when I was in a past life.
Yeah,
Very
it
interesting.
that is.
Yeah.
For mm, for me, past life dreams are always kind of wake up calls. Um, like most dreams that I understand as past life dreams have usually come around the time when I've worked with someone who was doing past life regression or giving a past life reading.
Yeah.
And usually I'd get a piece of information and something just wouldn't like it would be like, okay, 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 that seems wonky. That seems weird. That seems funny.
Yeah.
And and that I'd have a dream that kind of would put it into perspective. Like, of course, I had something came up in a past life reading, and the person was telling me all about like the day to day life, which was really resonant, very
Yeah.
very mundane, very just you know typical like rural farm life kind of stuff. And but then they came up with this big huge story about like, oh, and then you were murdered and this that and the other and blah 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 blah, and it was just like that doesn't seem right. And then I had a dream that kind of put me in that sort of situation with a past life, and it would correct something like, oh, I died of dysentery. Like, okay, well, okay, I could see why they wouldn't have that. That doesn't seem like an entertaining.
Right, right.
So it's always something like that with past lives for me. I never get like a whole sort of picture. It's usually just everything I know about past lives are bits and pieces that I've built up, a lot of
Yeah.
it coming from dreams.
Yeah. So funny. The only time, well, not the only time, but I don't really give my daughters readings. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, my kids don't
Yeah.
care what I do. They don't care. It's crazy. It's weird. But like my daughters just they don't ask me for a lot of readings. And this one time my daughter did. And in the middle of what she was asking me, because she was asking me specific questions, and I was like, okay, let me just give you what I get because I'm mom, right? So she's just like,
Right.
um, but as I was telling her stuff out of the blue, I started seeing visions of like weird things I couldn't connect. And it was just like vision, 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 vision. And I was like, hold up, hold up. I think I'm seeing you in a past life because I'm seeing you as you right now, but you're in like, you're a female with long brown hair. You have like armor on and you are in charge of an army. You're super unlucky in love in this lifetime, but you have like three children and one of them is a son. I think you might have one or two daughters. Um, I said, this is super weird because I see like you're so loved and respected by your people and you are known for your strategic mind. And I was like, this is crazy. Like it was so crazy. And then I'm like, I'm seeing like Roman Empire buildings, like pillars. And then she said, well, is it Joan of Arc? And I was like, no, no, no. No, this is old, like old, old, old. I don't even know how far to go back, but this is old, girl, like old. So then all of a sudden, I'm seeing you like on a boat, like in water. And she goes, oh, is that why I'm so scared of water? Because she has an irrational fear of water. She also has an irrational fear of men in a weird way. Always just like super apprehensive or like, don't leave me alone with him. I'm like, you're fine. You're fine. Even like, just, it's really weird. But we could never explain it. But I saw her on a boat and then that was it. And I'm like, I don't know if you drowned on this boat or what. This is really bizarre. Um, so she was like, that's crazy. And that was the only time my other daughter was like, what about me? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I can't just like, I don't know if I can like just tap in like that. And I said, I don't know, babe, we're gonna have to do you later, but this won't leave me alone. And I don't know why I picked all that up now. Just weird. And so the next day I was like, okay, I should be able to find this because this is so rare that she is a female person in charge of an army because no, like in that time frame, she would not be, it would be poo-pooed upon. So I looked it up and lo and behold, and I have to show you pictures because it's crazy. I found her and her name was Queen Zenobia, Zenbia or something like that. And she was a queen in modern day Syria. And just like the coincidences are just crazy. So her name starts with the Z. My daughter's name is Isabella, and I spell it with a Z. Why? I don't know. I can't tell you why I wouldn't do that with instead of an S. And she loves heat, hot. The hotter, the better. We went to go visit my sister in Texas, and my daughter was just like, this is like coming home. I'll never forget that because I just started cracking up. But after finding this, I'm like, this makes sense. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
crazy that you would say it's like coming home. It was just bizarre. My daughter has very her tastes are very modern and very like lines and very very modern. And yet she opened a business and it's all like Romany It's got fucking pillars, and she's got the busts with the plants on the head of the females. And I just thought, this is such a weird. I expected it to be like all white with black and like cool, that's her
Yeah.
style, all Romany. And I was just like, this is so weird for you to like this shit. She goes, I don't know. I just dig it. I love this. Well, Queen Zenobia has a bust made of her. So she has that. So there's that connection. And also Queen Zenobia, she was where her husband was murdered. And so her son was too young to take over as ruler. So she stepped in as queen and
Hmm.
she ruled. And then, and this is like super snapshotty, so I'm sure I'm getting some of it wrong, but she started attacking all these other, and she won, and they were like taking over land and all kinds of shit. And I don't know what happened, if she got a little zealous or she found out something, but she was planning on attacking the Roman Empire. They got wind of it, so they did it first. And she tried to escape, and she was captured in a boat in the Euphrates River and
Oh,
taken
wow.
prisoner. So she was prisoner for a long time before they actually killed her. And I thought, interesting that my daughter has an irrational fear of men, because who knows what happened to this young lady when she was POW, basically.
Right.
So, how
That's
fucking weird is
wild.
that? And I'm going to tell you, I have pictures. Of course, they're like cartoony pictures of Queen Zenobia, but my daughter and I put those two together. It's crazy. They look alike. And I was just like, maybe in this lifetime, you just happen to look like her. And I was able to pick it up. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the significant is. And I said, but maybe you also need to know that you can do this shit. You're
Hmm.
made to do this shit. You're stronger than you think you are. Look what you have
Yeah.
inside of you. You know what I mean? Like things like that. So yeah, that was super, super bizarre. Not dream, but easy, easy to pick up. It was very weird. Past
So
life.
wild.
I love it. I love it. But I do want to segue into, if you don't mind,
Yeah, I want to
into,
hear about your dreams with the Charlie Kirk situation.
yeah, dude, let me tell you how I even found out that I even was like, oh my God, I think I've been dreaming about this. I don't ever watch the news. And I think I might have been on social media and there was something like a news clip about the Charlie Kirk event. And I was watching it on mute because I always watch on mute. And I just saw this kid in a video walking across the street, and he was dragging his leg. And I just went, that's so weird. That's so weird. And then all of a sudden it just kind of clicked. I said, you know what? I think I had a dream about someone putting something down their pants, because I that was the theories, that he had the gun down his pants and that's why he was weird, walking weird and all kinds of stuff. And so I did dream about someone with stuffing something down their pants and walking like that. And I
Hmm.
said, but when so I ran back to my dream journal and I found it, and the date that I found, and I'm pulling open my dream journal as we are speaking. Um, I looked at it and I said, "Oh, this is it. I found it. It was August 10th of 2025. So it was exactly 1 month before the assassination that I had this dream about the kid with the thing down his pants.
Oh,
And
wow.
and I'm going to tell you, in this dream, the night before, I heard alarm bells. I think that might be just significant to like, and I wrote down here, I believe these were school bells. So I thought that was interesting. Not a whole lot, but I just heard that the night before, and no dream, like nothing else. It was just the sounds of the alarm.
Hmm.
Um, and the next day I called it the ship question mark. And I wrote down that I had a dream. I don't know if I was on a boat. And the only reason why I think I was on a boat, if you're now comparing it to Charlie Kirk, is that I kept seeing the decks of the boat and the different levels. I think that was the roof of the school with the different levels. Now that I can look back at it. But this particular dream, I know that I had something. Again, it wasn't a gun, but it was small enough that I felt like in a container. I know this sounds stupid, but it reminded me of my berberine vitamin container. It was
Mhm.
like white and it was thick, but it was short. And it's
Mhm.
pretty big for a vitamin container anyway. But I know that when I was looking at the people that were involved in this, because I did later put down crime question mark. And I saw their faces morphing. So it went from a man's face or a guy's face to a female face and it morphed. And we all know what that means for me when I'm working on crime is that there's two perpetrators. And so immediately um, I said, I felt like people were after me. And I felt like I was hiding something in a bottle and I was putting it down my pants. But when I put it down my pants and I started walking weird, I was a female. I was not a male. And I remember
Hmm.
thinking that very clearly. And when we were walking, I felt like they were watching us. The people were watching us. And I wasn't just being watched by the bad guys, we were also being watched by the good guys. I didn't understand that either. And I felt like they're going to try to kill me for it. And I was like, there's some kind of like crime or organized crime feeling to this. And I wasn't quite sure, like, is this cartel? I don't know, but I didn't want to name it. So I just kept saying organized crime. And I do remember that one point when I was walking, that bottle was sliding down my leg. And I had to stop at one point and go, oh, there they are. They're watching us. I can't take another step because if I do, that thing is falling out and we're done for. Like we will be done for. And so I'm just standing there and I'm talking to my partner. And I just thought, okay, are they gone? Are they gone? Okay, they're gone. And then we started trucking again. And then, all right, let me see what I did all that. Um, Yeah, I just said, is this a cruise ship or a hotel? Because I keep seeing flat roofing or I keep seeing flat decks. And I absolutely felt like they wanted it, whatever it was, and they would kill me for it. And let's see. Oh gosh. Okay, so that's what I felt there. Oh, and at the very end of this weird dream, I felt like I saw a person and their hands went up, not high, but it was like a surrender motion, and his hands went up, and then I woke up, and I still felt like I was female during that whole time. And
Mhm.
so where I started connecting it was that I very much, well, at the time I was like, this is very bizarre because there's only one perpetrator so far in this thing. And then later on, it started coming out about Lance Twiggs, who was his lover, boyfriend, roommate, that whole situation. And I started to and I do believe they were saying at the time that he was transgender or going through transition or something. And I said, I'd accept that as a female because Lance was female or transitioning into female and Tyler was the male. And so I'm like, I'd take that. That I'd take that as the female and male. And then that's how I was able to separate the two. And I just thought, how weird is this? So I went back and started looking at all my dreams and I was able to start looking at them all and go, oh my gosh, I think that these are all connected in some weird way to Charlie and his death. And these are all, so that one was 810. And then on 819, I heard Corey quit. And I just thought, oh, that's weird. Okay, next dream. And I'll tell you how it might connect. I don't know about this one, but I'll tell you how it might connect. And then on this 17th of August, um, oh no, that's not the 17th. Let me go down. Sorry, you guys. I'm like going through my stuff here because I just want to
The
tell you about
fact
the
that your
stuff that,
dream journal is this organized is amazing to me because
well, I
I
also did like little tabs before we got on here so I could find my shit. Um, but okay, here's another one that was significant to me that really pulled at me. 8/28/25. I kept dreaming about this cabin like structure, and I kept seeing red, white, and blue sign that said open. So it's like those flags that kind of
Mhm.
stand tall. And I kept seeing that. And I was like, this is just really weird. I don't know why I keep seeing this wooden structure. It says open, it's red, white, and blue. And I felt like I know it says open, like it's I just felt like there was something significant about it. And I felt like it was tied to government in some weird way, like a hiding place or something like that. But I didn't get a lot from that. But I just thought that that was really interesting. Um, okay. And then on August 29th, I heard a woman's voice, and it to me, the whole situation felt very angelic. And I felt
Mhm.
like someone was telling me something. And it was just a woman's voice. And I even wrote down here, weird crime question mark, because I felt very much like this was pulled to a crime. But I heard the woman say, I heard my son blank in the other room. And I just heard the voice. And I believe what she said. I heard my son crying in the other room. And I felt like it was like something angelic or maybe even a guide or someone just trying to tell me something about something. And I was just like, is this about a crime? Because it feels like this is a crime. And
Mhm.
I did feel like the crime, like this son knew it was coming. And I didn't know how to place it. So I woke up, I wrote this down, and then I went back to sleep. And then I started having a dream about a long red style home. And I felt like I was near a lake or near water. And that whole dream, this is the part that I feel like it could be symbolic. I felt like I was going on like a retreat, like to go somewhere with a bunch of people that I worked with. I'm going to put it that way because in my dream, I felt like I was with a bunch of real estate agents or something like that. Like it was like work
Mhm.
related. And then, but in this dream, I'll just say that I felt like it was work related. It was with a bunch of my peers, and we went to this house. And there was something uneasy about the whole situation. And when I looked out, I felt like I saw the water rising. So I was like, oh, is this another? I remember thinking in my dream, is this another flood dream? Because I had just had the flood dream about the Texas camp with those
Mhm.
kids. And so that kind of was, but I was like, I don't know if that's it because the water is rising, but I don't see it flooding. But it's just something like that anxiousness of something to happen. Um,
Mhm.
the next thing I know, I am in a black SUV with tinted windows, and I cannot see the driver. And I was sitting in the front passenger seat, and they're like, "We need to show you something." And so they drove me to this building. And now that I see like now at the time, I'm like, this was such a weird flat roof building. Like it was squarey, it was flat roofed, but they're like, don't go here. Don't go here. It's dangerous. This is dangerous. Don't go here. And they called it the Pink Bar. And I know it was a squarey cement building that they were just like, it felt like human trafficking. It felt like drugs. It felt like just evil, evil, evil. You are so not safe. Please don't go here. It's just not safe. Then we drove around the parking lot, and then we drove home or back to the lake house or whatever this red ranch house is.
Mhm.
And when I got out of the vehicle, this sounds so crazy, but I saw four dogs. Three of them were ghost dogs. And I remember thinking in my dream, how funny is this that I'm seeing ghost dogs with a real dog and they're all hanging out? But the real dog was a brown and white Llewellyn setter,
Mhm.
so crystal clear. And I felt like that dog means something. I think if someone knows, like the person who owns this dog is known to have these dogs, and they would be able to identify this person based on this dog. That's how I felt in my dream. And I don't know, that was just the weirdest thing. And then, and then when I was walking back towards the house, I felt like there's two males that are significant. And one of the names I wrote down was Mitch. Two white Caucasian males, Mitch is one. Um, so I did send you clips of
Mhm.
Charlie Kirk. And because I was like, I just want you to like see those and then later hear about my dreams and see if you feel what I'm feeling. But did you see the one? And I think I sent it to you about Mitch. Did you see
Oh,
that one?
yeah. I think so. I watched last week. It filtered through my head, fell out of my ears. But I think, oh, I'm having a hard time remembering Mitch.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's just like me trying to like insert Mitch McConnell
Okay,
into
so
the.
let me, yeah, no, so let me, so this is really bizarre. So that this dream, let me remind you, is 8/29/25.
Mhm.
So it, at first, I obviously I couldn't place this, and I just thought this is just a really weird dream. And I have a bad habit of trying to place my dreams too soon, I think, because I was like, oh, this could be this, or this could be that, or this could be this. And I just need to stop doing that because I was doing videos that I called connecting the dots, but I was like, I think I'm not connecting the right dots because this came out later. So, Charlie, this is 8/29/25. And the story about Mitch Snow came out in 2026. And he came forward in the beginning of the year um, saying that he believes he spotted Erica Kirk on the 9th of September before or the 8th or 9th of September at a hotel before the shooting. And now this guy, he was like, I went to Fort Huachuca. This is where I was. I stayed at this, hotel room, and I could, I know I saw her. Like I would say 99.9% that I saw her. His
Uh-huh.
name is Mitch Snow, and I'm just like, that is crazy. There's a couple of events that happened with Charlie right before he was murdered. Um, and one of the events was a Hamptons trip. And
Mhm.
the other event was the Hamptons trip and this Fort Huachuca thing. I was wondering because I did feel like the Hamptons was also a work related gathering. And this is where Charlie really started to feel the pressure. This is the event where a lot of people were saying that they were pressuring him so bad. He had a meeting with Bibi Nahu or whatever. I don't know how you pronounce his name from
Mhm.
Israel. And that it was just, that's when he started to go, I'm out. Like, I'm done with the Israel cause. And they started calling him, anti-Semite and all kinds of crazy shit, just trying to bully him into doing and believing and supporting Israel. And he was starting to move away from that movement at that time. And
Mhm.
so this dream, actually, it was one of the people that saw my stuff on TikTok. She goes, do you think this is the Hampshire dream, the Hamptons dream? And I was like, holy crap. Like, I didn't even think about that. Could be. But I actually forgot about Mitch. I was just thinking of the events of the dream. Like, oh, I did feel like it was work related. Oh, I felt like this. I felt like that. That totally makes sense. And then it wasn't until like a like a month ago or so when I started calling you guys and I was like, I need to do this video about these dreams because this is insane. Because I saw something about Mitch and I went back and I was like, I think I'm going to go and watch my dreams again. For whatever reason, I feel like I need to go back and watch it. And in my video, I mentioned Mitch and I just about shit my pants because I had totally, completely forgot that I actually named one of the males. And so
Hmm.
I'm like, well, Mitch wasn't at the Hamptons. He was at Fort Huachuca. And could it be that Erica used the whole I'm going on a girls' trip and that's why I'm gone? You know what I mean? Like, this is why I'm traveling or something like that. Or could it be a combination of the two situations? I don't know, but I absolutely wrote two male Caucasians. Mitch is one of them. And the other person that Mitch believes he saw was one of the bodyguards for Charlie Kirk, Brian Purple, I think is his name. And so could he have been the other Caucasian male? I don't know.
It's so interesting. Like I have too many questions. I until I watched the videos, I think last week or whenever, whenever you posted them or
Yeah.
sent them to us. Um, Up until that point, the only real impression that I had was that Israel was somehow involved in that, and that
Yes.
it's just so weird and offset. But I didn't hear any of the conversation about that until you did the videos, and I was like, oh, which I think is I was so focused on the Israel part of the conversations, especially Candace Owens, like and her input there.
Yes.
Uh, I yeah, it's so intriguing to me.
I will
So
say though, I totally believe that Israel is a part of this. I
I
totally feel that there is a connection. Um, I
yeah,
never I don't know. Erica Kirk is it's just yucky to me. She
I feel the same way.
okay, good. Because I from the beginning was like, she's a little off-putting and over like everything she does doesn't feel real to me. It doesn't feel like a real expression. And at the beginning, I just thought, well, what everybody else says, right? Grief is a fickle bitch and you don't know how you're going to react to it. And so I was kind of giving her that grace.
Same,
And
same.
I was just like, yeah, I don't know. Like, this is just weird. And then she came out with that freaking glitter pantsuit. And I don't know if you've seen the any kind of thing, but it was Charlie had a private memorial and then he had this public memorial.
Hmm.
And that whole public one felt gross to me. I was like
Yeah,
disgusted. And I was just like, oh my, what is she doing? She's coming out in a glitter pantsuit. There's fireworks. Charlie is the most down to earth, no nonsense kind of guy. That is not the type of event he would want, even for his company. Like, what? It just was like, it was just so yucky to me the whole time.
I
I don't,
remember seeing a couple of things about the public event, just a couple of photos, really, and my knee-jerk impression was like, oh, they're trying to. It's almost like the lies are combating each other to see which one is going to be, the official cover.
right.
It was very strange. It felt, oh, it yucky is really one of the best words. It felt like everybody was trying to um, try trying to subtly influence things that were already so jacked up
Yes.
from everything that had happened.
Yeah.
And and I'm very much we work with people going through a lot of grief, and so I always want to give that
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt. Like it looks so different on so many different people, but there was I my mind will not let me believe that Erica Kirk was grieving.
It felt so fake to me. Like it was
Yeah,
such a performance. But then I was like, back then, when I first saw this, I was just like, is it just because I'm reading it wrong? Am I really reading this wrong? But it felt so over the top fake. I'm like, how can not anybody see this? But then it backfired because that's when I think people really started opening their eyes. Um, and then Candace started talking about all this stuff. And now I watched Candace before. I don't watch her a lot. I don't agree with all her views. I'm not as religious as she is and that kind of stuff. Um, I tend to be more on the conservative side, but mostly for like world events and like economics. Um, and so I watched her. I just think I like the way I think she's just sassy. I think that's why I liked her so much because she's just a sassy little bitch sometimes. And
yeah,
and Charlie, I liked him. And we discussed this before. I think the reason why I really admired Charlie is he was able. I've always been impressed by people who can think really fast on their feet. This girl cannot. Like I cannot do that. Like I'm the person that's like 5 hours later, I should have said this, I'm not a fast thinker. So, but the other thing I really admired about Charlie was, again, I didn't always agree with what he had to say or his thoughts or whatever, but his conviction, he believed in what he did. And he was trying to be a bit of a finger poker, like poking you in the chest to make you start thinking different. Okay, do you not see, like, because he wants them to say it, not him to tell them necessarily. So I just thought that was a really interesting, like his whole, and every kid was different. So he would approach, it's almost like, I'm going to tell you, it was almost like he could read the kid and to see, like, okay, how does this kid need to hear the message, if you will? So, but I did like Charlie and some of the things that he said, and I admired his dedication and his love for what he did and that kind of stuff. So, um, but then I started watching Candace a little bit more, and I don't even know how it all started. Like, she started doing the investigation or started talking about Charlie Kirk, and um, I don't know if you ever seen her live or you saw some of the clips. There is a truth to her that I feel like she is genuinely hurting. She's genuine in when she speaks. She she doesn't hold back. She is who she is and she doesn't apologize for it, which I can kind of admire as well. Um, but I was just like, I like I am like gravitating to her for some reason. Lo and behold, she started doing this whole investigation and then just shit started going sideways. And I was there for the whole thing. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And then she started talking about things that I'm like, oh my God, I dreamt about that. And oh my God, I dreamt about that. And oh my God, I dreamt about that. So the next night was the next dream that I felt like was significant to me was on the 1st of September. So yeah, so the 1st of September. Again, that woman, like that angelic being, she came to me and she didn't really talk, but she had like a cloak on and she had this like silver platter and she held it out to me and there was like these numbers on the platter and it was 1111. There was like 2222 4444, that kind of stuff all over, but she picked up the 1111 and handed it to me. She was trying to give it to me. And I was just like, hmm, okay, that's so interesting. She's trying to give me something. And I don't necessarily know what it is. And that just kind of blew my mind. But I can't always remember like 1111 because it was four of them. Do you know what the meaning is about that? Or like the
ooh,
general?
I, so 1111 falls into that kind of angel numbers category
Yeah.
for me. Yeah, I tend to look at like the traditional numerological breakdown if I'm going to do the math at all. But I'm trying to remember because I do get like 1111 a lot.
Me
Um,
too.
and for me, it's basically a look here. Um, uh,
Okay.
pay attention. It's keep your eyes open. Um, and a lot of times when it's coming through in impressions, I'll get, or even in dreams, I'll get some other like verbal cue of like, pay attention, like
Yeah.
keep your eyes open, keep your eyes peeled. Anytime that I'm seeing or hearing 1111. To me, I have from the get-go, I have felt like there will be something that comes out this November, and I think it was next July
Okay.
regarding regarding the Charlie Kirk stuff. Random impression, like came out of nowhere. I'm
Yeah.
literally like watching videos that popped in, and I'm like, the hell? And so
Yeah.
I but scroll it down in my planner, um, but yeah, it has always there's so much that is disconnected, and there's so much going on behind the scenes with it.
Yeah.
Um,
And the feeling I got from it a little bit was alignment.
mhm,
Like she's telling me I'm in line aligned with it, but without telling me what it is.
mhm,
So, like I said, she didn't talk at all. And normally, like when someone doesn't talk, I can like read or feel what they are trying. In this case, I really couldn't, but she was just like adamant about giving me, and I couldn't see her face. All I could see
yeah,
was the hood of the cloak. It was like kind of dark in there, but her hands, and she was just like trying to give me this number. So I thought that was really weird. Um, and then on the 19th, so now the assassination has happened, right? It
mhm,
happened on the 10th. Um, Again, I didn't think much of it at the time. It wasn't until much later that I was just like, this is really, really freaking weird. But on the 19th of September, I had a dream about bombs and stuff. And the energy that I felt was that there were bombs hidden everywhere in everyday items. So, and I couldn't explain it at the time. I just felt like if I'm walking down the street, there might be a bomb, like a metal, like I saw like a metal fencing post, and I'd be like, oh,
mhm.
there's a bomb in there. Like I just remember in my dream walking and seeing random things, and I also saw what looked like, I know this sounds crazy, and I don't know what the symbolism would be on this bad boy, but I kept feeling like I kept seeing gray ceramic dogs. And so again, walking down the street, and I'd be like, there's one, there's one, there's one. And I could just keep pinpointing these bombs. But the big feel behind it was like these bombs are being hidden in everyday items. And I didn't know what this all meant at the time. Um, and then I felt like I kept seeing these numbers too. And it looked like I saw there were handwritten numbers on like chicken
Mhm.
scratch on pieces of paper in my dream. I could see it. And the number I thought I saw was 6614.2. And then I looked again and I didn't see the point two. I just saw 6614 and then 6612. I have no freaking idea what that means. But it was like, I don't know. Would someone listen to this and be like, oh, I think I know what that means? I don't know. That's what I'm hoping for by doing these dreams and saying them out loud. But the reason why I feel like this dream is a little bit significant and where I felt like things are being hidden in everyday items is because conspiracy theory, I'm sure. But there's another podcaster. His name is Baron Coleman. And
Mhm.
then there's Candace Owens and there's Stu Peters and stuff like that. But Candace and Baron's a former attorney. He's retired and
Mhm.
now he does his podcast. And then there's Candace, who's freaking extremely smart. But their theory now, actually, Stu Peters is the one that came up with this theory a long while ago, and everybody kind of poo pooed it. And Candace is like, I don't know if I necessarily poo pooed it, but she was so deep in her grief at that time, like she was just like, I can't. It was just too much, and I
Yeah.
totally understand that. And but now Stu Peters, I believe, came up with the theory or explained someone's theory about an exploding mic.
Mhm.
And there's a ton of videos out there about how they think it exploded. Candace actually released pictures that she got, and I can send them to you. I did not think about pulling it up here, but it was a picture of a square, boxy shape right here on Charlie's chest, and it was right underneath his nipple. And they were just saying it was really weird because this road mic was inside his shirt versus outside his shirt, which would be weird, right? If you're recording, I'm not going to have my microphone because you can hear all the scratching and the rubbing from his shirt. It would be make more sense that it's pinned and the microphone's in front of him, so you can properly hear it. But Candace is like, they did all kinds of new stuff. Everything is new, 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 new. She goes, but you get somebody used to wearing their microphone on the inside. Why would he question it? So he's like that day, the microphone was inside as always. Um, but they were like, no, the microphone never blew up. The microphone never blew up. So that's conspiracy theory of it. There was a slight explosive inside the mic, kind of got diminished until Candace brought this picture out. Well, the mic needs a oh shit, I don't know what it's called, but it needs
With the
something.
battery pack.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the transmission to get into the computer because they were going to stream. And so it needs that. So they believe that that's what was taped on Charlie's chest. The crazy part is when they took that picture, that section is completely white, but all the way around it is like red. And so people are like, is his skin burned? Is it like what's going on? And then they found like little, I guess the Rode mic has kind of like what our iPhones have, which is like that glass, tempered glass that's in front, all over, like it's shattered all over. They found pieces all over the bottom of the SUV, which again, black SUV, which I keep dreaming about, like weird shit like that. So the conspiracy theory is that this stuff exploded on Charlie and it was not a gunshot. So I just thought that this dream was really interesting, that I kept feeling like there was bombs in everyday items. So I don't know if that's a confirmation or not, but I thought it was really, really weird. Um, and then I started dreaming about oh no, that was all still the same stuff. Oh, then I was said I could see cement sidewalks, concrete or block buildings, cement
Mhm.
staircases with metal handrails. I can hear cars driving, so I'm not sure if this is a busy area, question mark. And just really interesting. And then I wrote government building, question mark. So I just thought, well, that's really interesting. And I was kind of putting it with the school where Charlie was
Mhm.
assassinated. Something interesting kind of happened. Um, okay, not that one. Then I started just having dreams about bombs like crazy anyways. Um, yeah, just bombing, like I just kept seeing this building or warehouse exploding, or bombs and bombs and bombs. And then on the okay, not that one. Um, on the no, that was a different one. Oh, October 7th of 20. No, this there is more to this one. Um, now I have to can't find where my dream is. Um, but anyways, I had a dream about this building that kept exploding. I thought it was a warehouse. I wasn't sure. And now I can't find where that is. And I did do a dream about it, or I did a video on it. And I believe it was labeled October 7th. And I'm not quite sure. But I did feel like there was a building, and I kept seeing like a warehouse. I kept seeing two circular like driveways, I don't, or like a horseshoe, just found it. Um, and I kept feeling like there's something about an explosion or detonation or something like that. So thought that was really weird. And there is a another conspiracy here. So I don't know if you heard, but I'm going to screen share with you right now. Let me get because I want to show you this article. So the conspiracy theory is this. On October 12th, I believe, in 2025, there was a government building that exploded in near Nashville, Tennessee. And I believe, let me see, screen share, screen share. Why does nothing ever work when I want to use it? Oh, share. Here it is. Pete's sake. Here we go. I want this one. Okay. And share. All right, dude. Can you see that?
I do.
Okay. So this is really interesting. So the theory of the exploding mic started to come out, and there's a type of explosion or material. I can't remember what it's called. Candace did a whole thing on it, and I just thought it was really interesting. Did you ever hear about the pager? It was
Mhm.
like a thing in Israel, and then Israel
Yeah.
contaminated the pagers, and they all blew up, and blah blah blah. Well, it's that same kind of explosion material that was in the pagers that they were talking about could be in Charlie's mic. So they thought this was really interesting. Well, this factory blew up on October the 12th. And this factory is military based, it's a government based, but they do believe that this factory also contains that type of explosive stuff. There is a gentleman by the name of Mark Liddy, or something like that, who, for whatever reason, may have stolen some of that explosive stuff, and he basically got terminated from his work or something crazy like that. Long story short, he was in his backyard burning garbage like we do here on the East Coast, and there was some weird explosion, and a piece of shrapnel hit him in the neck, and he died. And they were like, "That's crazy. That's crazy." So, um, weird stuff. This guy named Mark has a friend by the name of Corey Campator. Does that sound familiar to you at all?
Yeah.
He
Couldn't tell you
is,
why, but
I can tell you why it wouldn't. He was at the Trump rally well, during Butler.
okay.
Okay. So his name is Corey Campator. Okay. Um, so a week before Butler, that, or at a time, and I can't remember when it would happen or exactly when all of that happened, but Mark happens to be friends with this gentleman here who was murdered at Butler when the assassination attempt on Trump happened. He was standing kind of with his family behind in the bleachers, and he was the only,
Hmm.
I think he was the only casualty. And he was friends with Mark. Mark told a secret about having the explosive stuff to only one person, Corey. And then I had a dream back in the day about Corey quit. And I don't know what that is. I just think that it's weird that all these names are popping up that I have dreamt about. And I'm not quite sure what Corey quit means, because Corey did work until the day he died. But again, I wanted to put that out there because maybe somebody else understands it. But his wife says that it was a very weird situation. They had just gotten the regular tickets to go see Trump. They were out to stand in front of the podium. No, nowhere special, just like you buy the ticket, you go and stand. And a lady came to them and said, "We would like to have you sit in the bleachers." And so, in a weird turn of events, Corey and his wife and his two daughters were invited to sit behind Trump on the bleachers. And then Corey's the only casualty. So, of course, conspiracy theories going crazy. But there's one thing I've learned as being a psychic medium, that there's no such thing as coincidences. I don't believe
Mhm.
in coincidence. And so that's why all of this just seems plausible. Like it could happen, right?
Yeah.
I just think that that is very interesting. And where Mark used to work and where he got that explosive is here. And this building was completely ruined. So, no evidence of anything. All those workers were killed in that explosion. There was about 14 of them that, I mean, look at this. This went from, in fact, I think I even did a video so that you could see what it looked like. It is
Wow.
completely gone. They could not
Oh,
even
wow.
find the workers. Like they had, and they had to also be very careful because a lot of this is explosive. And
Hmm.
so before this happened, I had a dream again with I was in tears. I woke up that morning. I was extremely upset. I tried to do the video on TikTok like, oh, this is what it looked like before it was destroyed, by the way. Um and I woke up. I couldn't even get the dream out because I just was crying and crying and crying. And I was like, what the heck? So finally was able to do it. And I just felt like there was heavy sadness. I felt like something was going to happen or that it was going to happen. And I kept feeling that there was going to be like a shortage of something. And I wasn't sure what that was. Like, oh, but if I go, I can get a certain amount. But if someone comes, like my family, they can also get the certain amount. But I don't know. And it's something about wood and wood and wood and wood. And I just, it was just such a weird dream. I'm like, see if I marked it because basically had it before the month. I think I still had that dream when in September. Um yeah, I felt like it was also a bomb. And I felt like it was going to shake us. It was going to shake us to our core. And I felt like there was something about wood or something about wood. Well, this place is known to be surrounded in wood. It's the woods versus wood. And I
Hmm.
think that my dream, and then I said something about two horseshoe driveways and that kind of stuff. And I think that this is what this was this particular event. And I did feel connected to TPUSA. And so is it connected in some odd, weird way? Um, because if it is a type of explosive material that was in Charlie Kirk's microphone, where would they have gotten it? You know what I mean? Like this is like one of the few places that they would have the material, is my
Hmm.
understanding. So I just wanted to show that to you because I just thought that was a weird connection and non-coincidence coincidence, and that building is now completely gone. No evidence, no materials, no people to talk, no nothing.
How very convenient.
isn't that isn't that
Hmm.
totally and totally completely convenient? Like, makes no sense to me. So let me turn that off because that is super loud. Oh, whoops. Okay.
So when you brought up the numbers, the 6614.2, right?
Yeah.
So what the first thing that like flashed in my mind was like, oh, I wonder if that's like some kind of radio signal or like
Code.
a yeah, a code or and I did a quick Google while you were talking there and um it links there isn't anything that directly links the number to explosives, but
Okay.
um the 66 in um, the 66 means something extremely caustic in the way that they categorize the hazardous materials. So it would be 66, and then it would be more specific, like the numbers following it would tell you specifically what that was.
No way.
And the other thing that comes to mind, do you remember there was something out of New York. Um, there were some folks that were working and they thwarted it, so nothing ever happened with it. But they were working to do something to like bring down all cell phone service or something around New York. Um,
Yes. Yeah. I think I was dreaming about it.
I for some my mind wants to like bring that into the conversation somehow too, and I don't know if it's just doing that because the news cycles were so just intensely concentrated during all of that time. Like,
Yes. I can't even
it,
remember what else was going on, but was it like I can't remember what else was going on during that time, but I remember that because I think I was dreaming about that. And I
yeah,
kept
and
saying like something's going to happen like in New York or something like that, and I just didn't know how or what.
I feel like
So,
I had that conversation too. Like,
yeah.
we had a friend who was living in New York at the time, and I kept just like checking in with them constantly, like,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, you paid your cell phone bill? You're like,
Oh, and you
it
got
was
cell
very,
phone because I think I was more like, oh God, is this going to be another 9/11? I think that's how I felt. But
yeah.
I felt like, well, when did that pager thing happen in Israel?
It, I feel like it was not very long before that, in that it had been linked to the pager thing um, uh,
That's
somehow,
interesting.
but I think it was. Um, but again, media at that point they could have been linking anything. But
Yep.
I found it very interesting, and I want to say it was like a matter of a few months between the Israel thing and the thing in New York.
Wow, that's crazy. Um, yeah, that's interesting that you're bringing that up, which would absolutely, I mean, I wouldn't say absolutely, could possibly have a tie to that whole Israel thing and pull it in just a little bit more.
Yeah, it's regardless of anything else, this whole situation is a mess.
Yeah.
And it's so obvious that we have no idea what actually happened because they've worked very hard to control the story about
Yes.
what has happened. And
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I think there's
yeah,
just so much more just bullshit. And I really don't like Cash Patel. And I just feel like he's an ugly liar. Like he just reminds me of like that frat boy that never grew up.
mm-hmm. I've dated a
And
few of those.
I just was like, dude, grow the fuck grow up, dude. Like, I don't know. I just it's almost embarrassing to me when I watch him. I'm like, I can't even watch him. I'm like, stop it. Um, but I have another one. Then
Yes.
starting in October, I started having really freaking weird dreams about a business. So I will tell you, October 7th, I had a dream that I saw a lady. She was standing behind a podium. She was like maybe 60s, possibly late 60s, or she looked late 60s to me. I felt like she
Mhm.
had extremely curly hair. It was so puffy and thick. Um, I do feel like that it was like flatter on the top and it kind of went out like this. And the thing that got me was she had glasses like mine. So I saw her with black rimmed glasses, and she would either have them on her face or on her head like that. But in this dream, I also saw a young female, and the young female looked really young to me. And I just felt like this girl is constantly in the shadow of her mother, and she is actually a puppet. And I do believe it's a mother daughter relationship. But I saw the daughter and I was like, this is like she's a puppet. And it's not the mom is pulling the strings. Absolutely is what I felt. And I knew that there was feelings of betrayal, like huge feelings of betrayal. This lady is extremely not good. I I know that I was like, if someone was to say, um, is this the lady that you saw? And I would say, yep. And they're like, well, she's wanted for murder. And I'd be like, not surprised, like,
Right.
not surprised at all. And I was trying to pin this story or this dream um, to other events that happened during that time. There was another political woman. Oh, and I started feeling like huge military ties and then government ties. And I was like, I don't know what's going on with this lady. But she also made me feel like she was the person that was pulling the strings, but she wasn't the face of the organization or something. And so
Yeah.
at the time I was like, I don't know what any of this is. And so I was trying to connect it to the crazy lady. She was in government. I believe she was from California, possibly, but she got caught doing some weird shit. So I was like, oh, she has the curly hair, but she's not quite what I saw, but she's got the curly hair. I was trying to place it. Then
Mm-hmm.
someone sent me an article about this political figure, lady whose daughter uh, kept her mother captive and was like torturing her mother. And I was like, these are the vibes. But that lady is not necessarily who I saw. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's a combination of both and blah, 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 blah. Until one day on Candace Owens' show, she pulled up a picture. And I was like, holy shit, there she is. She
I was wondering. Okay.
She fit my description. Now, I know her hair is not curly. I bet you, though, if she didn't blow it out, that her hair would be curlier. But
Oh
again,
yeah.
hair is not like color of hair and stuff is not always like my strongest suit. But I knew she had white to blonde hair. And I thought it could be gray, white, but it was very blonde. I knew she had these glasses. I knew she was behind the podium. I knew she was doing all this stuff. I and then I was like, but her daughter is a puppet. This lady is extremely dangerous. Is the feelings I had, and I will not go back on that. Um, I think that this lady is very manipulative. And I thought it was really interesting because I did have like when I woke up from my dream, I felt like pulled to Turning Point USA. I felt like it was a betrayal to them. I felt like they're like the betrayal and the uh, connection kind of faded a little bit. And then it kind of morphed into military. So then I was like, shit, is this really TPUSA or is this something completely, totally different? Well, she herself is not in the military, but Lori France has all these different kinds of LLCs in businesses, and she works with the Department of Defense as she
Mm-hmm.
contracts with them. And I did not know this. I was just like, that's my blonde lady. That's my scary fucking blonde lady that may have killed people. Now there's some rumors. Erica um, kind of disappeared for a year in her life. There's no like traces to where she was or what she was doing. And she said that she was with a pastor and his wife, and she was learning the word of God during that year, blah, blah, blah. Just thought that was weird. I think that's just really weird. And a
Yeah.
little, that's something that I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me. And then she
Well,
also started an agency or an organization in Romania. Erica did about the
mhm.
Romanian angels, and she was helping orphans and this and that. And later we find out that there's a connection between Erica and Epstein.
Yep.
Erica used to
And
work for him.
and not only that, there was a lot of footage that they were able to find that kind of disproved the story of her and Charlie that she had put forward. And like uh, she she had been on like a dating show, and like
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I
and it
never
went
dated people
completely
in New York.
right, and it went and all of these things like went completely counter to what the
Yeah.
video evidence was. And yeah, and her there is yeah, looking at her mom is really it's unnerving. Like to me,
Yes.
it's
I will
hard
tell
to be in
you,
her game.
I just saw my other chicken scratch on my book. Well, you can't read it, but I wrote down here, okay, being pulled to Turning Point USA. This lady is bad, bad, bad. Betrayal, betrayal, betrayal. Possible shooting or something related to death is what I
Hmm.
wrote after. And I didn't connect her to Charlie at all. I was just like, I don't know, this weird lady. I don't know what the deal is. And yeah, it was really, really, really weird. So I started having that dream. And then I started having dreams about a company. And I kept saying financial collapse, financial collapse, financial collapse. I don't understand this, but I do feel like, again, betrayal. I remember in my dream that I was walking into a room that looked like a conference room, and then there's windows all over. So it kind of reminded me of a bit of a warehousey feel, but it wasn't. It was more like moderny, possible warehousey. But there was a conference table, and someone was stealing from us, from the company. Someone inside the company, inside, was stealing from the company. And I remember thinking and looking at the boss, and that they were like giving me like an okay. And then, or I saw them giving an okay, and the person stole stuff. So the people who worked at this company knew about it and was still stealing. And I just thought, I don't know, this was a really weird dream. And I would say probably about a week later, I had another dream. And this time it was, I felt like it was two fraternities. So,
Hmm.
like, the one fraternity was like, hey, this is what we're doing. We are going to put this out more. Come to our meetings. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. We're inviting all of you guys to come out, come to the meeting, and then we can do like, we're going to take a vote on like president, and then we're going to switch that up every 2 years. Like, I remember having this big, huge discussion of to this other group of people and said, okay, so we'll meet you guys tomorrow at 10. Yeah, everybody agreed. Cool. So my group, the first fraternity, or the original, I'll call them the OGs, they went to the meeting at 10. The new group was already walking out of the boardroom. Like, they already had the meeting, they already elected everybody, they already did everything. And the OGs were like, what the hell is going on? This is a total, it was like I think I even said that in my video, which it was a total hostile takeover. Like, it was hostile and it was
Hmm.
not good. And I remember thinking that some of the OGs, like a lot of the OGs left, and they were just like, fuck this, we're out. But a lot of them stayed because they were like, no, we have to kind of keep an eye on these people to make sure that this is on the up and up, on the like something legit, or that those were the feelings that I got. And then I
Hmm.
woke up going, this is TPUSA. This is TPUSA. I just knew at that point that it was a hostile takeover. And here we are, a year later, and to me, it is an absolute hostile takeover of that company. It is, and I think Erica was part of that new fraternity. I think that a lot of those guys were part of that fraternity.
Hmm.
And I just, my heart breaks for Charlie because I think he just was surrounded by complete and utter fakes and untrustworthy fakes. Like it's crazy to me.
So, mm, to me, where my mind goes is I wonder how long this had kind of been a plan, or was it a contingency plan?
Right.
If say somebody started moving in a way that was counter to
Yeah.
what the people around them wanted to do, like
Yeah.
that's where my mind goes.
I
And
think it's really interesting that I started to dream about all this stuff the month before Charlie was shot. I think that
yeah.
that's when it started getting hyped. I think that's when Charlie started changing his mind about Israel. Um, do you know that he texted a bunch of people in a group text and said, I think they're going to kill me. And then he died the next day.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. So I found it very interesting as well that Candace Owens, the other part that really got me in the beginning was she talked about how Charlie used to have dreams and he knew he was going to die young. And he knew as soon as he signed the paperwork on TPUSA that that was what was going to kill him. And so he had predictions and she has text messages proving all this conversation between the two of them. And he goes, Candace, I think you're going to be my David. And she has been. And nobody else, his good friends, no one else like gives a crap. But I don't, I think that Tyler Robinson is part of this whole ordeal. I don't know if he necessarily shot or killed Charlie Kirk because in my initial dream, I know I saw a female. I know I saw someone else. And I didn't see a gun. I saw a freaking bourbon bottle. Like I saw something small. And so I
Hmm.
think that that's really interesting at the time, especially even after Charlie. I never connected the little something little. And now that that conspiracy theory of the microphone came out, I was just like, God, that makes sense too of why I saw it smaller and I never saw a gun. So, like, my dream matches a lot of what's coming out now. And that's why I tend to believe the quote unquote conspiracy theory.
Yeah. And I found the Tyler aspect because Charlie had had a falling out with somebody else publicly, at some point before. Um, it- they didn't think he went conservative enough, or something along those lines,
Right.
and they had had a public beef. I can't remember their name. I want to say Dan, but I'm terrible with names, so I'm sure
Yeah.
it's not. But to me, um, Tyler was just entirely too well placed to be a
Yeah.
good scapegoat. Like it's all too perfect. Like everything about it is just too spot on for it. And I know that that kind of Occam's razor, it lends to the whole like, oh, the conspiracy is just conspiracy.
Yeah.
But the thing is that to me, it's kind of like how you can look at something that's representing a human, and it's too close but still off, and it hits that uncanny valley
Yeah.
where it's like uncomfortable, so you can tell you're not really looking at a human, but you can't tell exactly what's off. That's what
Right.
I feel around Tyler.
Around
That
Tyler. Yeah.
Yeah, and something around it's just too off.
Right. No, I agree. I think I just doesn't sit well with me. And I'm going to tell you, I had a dream. Was it? I can tell you when it was because I wrote it down. I had a, oh, here it is on July 5th. I
Mhm.
had a dream that I was in a bus and I don't know if you're going to be familiar with these names, but I was sitting that I was in a bus and it kind of reminded me of a school bus. It kind of felt metal, but it was light blue in color on the inside. And when I
Mhm.
turned over the seat, the backing of the seats were high. But when I looked over my left shoulder, I saw Andrew Colvett. Now, Andrew Colvett is on, he's like the PR guy for Turning Point USA. And
Mhm.
he is on the Charlie Kirk show, which they still run as the Charlie Kirk show, which is to me, it makes me mad because it has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk anymore, not even the viewpoints. So there's another guy that works on there. His name is Blake Neff. If you get a chance to go look at them, I'd love to get your opinion on what kind of vibe you get off of both of them. But in this dream, I looked over and it was Andrew's face, like clear as freaking day. And I said to him, "Joke's on you. I'm not afraid to die, motherfucker." And I was a man and I felt like a POW or something like that. But when I turned back around and across the little aisleway on the other side of the bus was another man, tan skin, fluffy kind of hair. It was still cut short, but I felt like he was a guard. And there was other guys in front, like other prisoners and other guards. But that
Mhm.
guy was also very stood out very much to me. And I just remember thinking, you're not going to get away with this. You're not going to get away with this. And I kid you not, that week, all these things started coming out about Andrew Colvett. And maybe he wasn't the friend that Charlie thought he was to him. And in fact, as of late, Andrew Colvett's wife has left him because of possible inappropriate relationships with people at work, who I think very well could be Erica Kirk. But
Mhm.
that's just me, just, putting that out there. Doesn't mean it's true, but that's kind of the feelings that I get. And I've always had that feeling. I just thought, oh, I don't know. But Andrew Colvett and Blake Neff is even grosser than Andrew, in my opinion. They're both equally gross. But even lately, um, like Neff is known for being racist and especially hates women, like just says really inappropriate, stalked a woman that he used to work with for 5 years online, like crazy stuff like that. And yeah, it's crazy. But those are my latest dreams in this situation. Now, the beginning of the year, I had a dream of a calendar. I kept seeing a calendar, and at the top of the calendar, it said August. And then when I looked at the whole calendar, the last two, you know how it has the little squares with the numbers, and the last two rows were highlighted, like bigger. So the one
Mhm.
thing I've noticed especially when I do like mapping and stuff like that for cases, when I do things that are bigger, that means I need to focus on it. And so it might be out of proportion, if you will. And that's exactly what this looked like. It was out of proportion. The squares were bigger. And I keep for the all year, I keep feeling like the last 2 weeks of August, something is going to happen. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if I had a dream about it or not, but it's kind of getting Charlie Kirk vibes. I'm not going to lie. And I kind of felt political. And I don't know. I don't know. And I just feel like this could be very dangerous. Like this, if this does happen, the feelings that I get makes me feel like this is not good. Like this shouldn't happen and it's not going to benefit anybody. Like it's not going to benefit anybody. Left, right, middle, whatever you do when it comes to
Mhm.
politics, I don't know. But like it's not going to be good because it means something completely bigger than people might not realize in the beginning, but they will see it later. So I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like I have a feeling of like something weird to happen, and then does another country try to take over? Like it just makes me feel weird, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And but I really feel pulled to August, and I definitely feel pulled to the last 2 weeks of August somehow, some way. And I just feel like, I don't know, I'm getting like Charlie Kirk vibes. What could that mean? Could it mean an assassination attempt? Could it mean an assassination? Could it mean something governmental, or, like, I, or could it mean, I don't know, it feels not good to me. But could it
Yeah.
mean that we get more answers for Charlie Kirk or something? I don't know. It doesn't feel good to me though. So I don't know. Have you gotten anything other than like the November stuff?
So, August, I believe. Hold on, let me think about where are the notes right now. Yeah, I think that I think we're due for eclipses, like lunar and solar eclipses in August, and those are like a jackhammer going on a nail. It's just big energy, big eruption, and frequently big world events are going to be more tied to them. The and I do know that we do have a couple of those coming up.
Yeah,
I
I think I heard like August 12th would be a solar eclipse. And
Yeah,
then on the 28th, is that the lunar eclipse? I think there's like two different types of eclipses that we're supposed to get in August.
yes, yeah, and anytime there's one eclipse, the other kind will be there.
Okay.
Like basically, the solar eclipse is a new moon,
Oh, okay.
where everything lines up, and the lunar eclipse is a full moon where everything lines up.
Okay.
Um, but it's very there has been a lot of talk about the end of August, beginning to middle of September as well,
Hmm.
about there being more intensity, and that it puts pressure on the US chart, but it's doing so in a different kind of way. Like it's hitting in a way that hasn't been hit before. So where my mind goes to, I could see it being an assassination attempt. But I feel like for it to kind of hit the way that it feels, it would probably be more tied to like war or whatever's happening in Iran. Like something happens
Um,
here,
mm,
and, or that it's kind of conflated with Israel or something like
right.
that, where it it feels like something new, something that we as a country haven't experienced, and we haven't like
Yeah.
outside of Pearl Harbor, we haven't really been attacked on U.S. soil.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it makes me nervous.
It does make me
It
nervous.
and I will say it feels like it hits in the direction of like a 9/11, but it doesn't feel quite that. Um, 9/11 stood out.
Right.
Like it
Absolutely.
was so this doesn't feel as standing out as much, but it still feels um not it feels detrimental.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still feel Charlie Kirk vibe.
Hmm.
Could it be like you said, there's still like that kind of like weird government connection, and like you said, Israel. And could they be a part of this? And that's, you know, it's
Yeah,
a course of theory. It's not for fact. This is just dreams and feelings and stuff like that. But so I'm going to put that out there just in case people get weird. And but yeah, I mean, I very much feel pulled. Um, I don't know, like, let me just say, on the off chance someone is hearing this from somewhere bigger or broader, like, oh, and then I was having dreams about outdoor events like crazy. And I kept seeing uh like, don't go there. Don't do those. And maybe
hmm,
that's the Charlie Kirk vibe. Like maybe it's because it's an outdoor event, and it's like, it to me it feels like, so a while back I had a dream that I was at my house, my old house. My mom I was like trying to help her get ready for this party. It was very high end and like all this stuff. And then she was like, you need to leave. And I was like, what? So I thought that was done after I had that dream. That type of feeling with the same backyard high end get together, I'm getting those again. So ironically, this is right before the August mark. And then I really felt like I needed to put this out like in August 1st. Like I'm going to put this out August 1st. And I just felt like it needs to be out. And so like if anybody's hearing this and there's some kind of maybe event on a governmental level, like, for Trump or JD Vance or something, like, don't do it. Don't do it the last 2 weeks of August. Like I just
Yeah.
that, and I feel like something goofy is going to happen and it's giving me Charlie Kirk vibes. And I just don't know exactly what kind of vibes those are, but is there going to be some kind of connection? And maybe that's why I'm feeling that. But yeah, I don't know, dude. It's been bothering me. And I did do a video, but I never posted it. Like I have it in my drafts on TikTok. And I was just like, because I kept feeling like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to put that out. I don't know because if no one thought of it, I don't want to be the person that makes people think of it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's getting closer and it's getting stronger. So here we are.
Yeah. Yes. All we can do is react to the information our intuitions give us.
Yeah.
And, and yes, it's entirely possible that we're seeing patterns, that we're connecting dots
Yeah.
that are not in the right order.
Right.
But
Right.
but there is definitely the pattern. You can't deny it. There's something there. And
Yeah.
I'm with you. Extending it towards the end of August, there's something to that. There's some kind of weirdness that I think we could expect
Yeah.
to really have to address. I'm inclined to say it won't be as directly violent,
Good.
like a gunshot or an explosion or anything like
Right.
that.
Right.
But then again, I don't know if that's like just me trying to make the feeling more comfortable to myself.
Yeah.
Um, I've I've been leaning more towards the thought of like illness, pathogen, um,
Again.
uh,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and honestly, because we got the lettuce plague.
Right.
Um,
Right.
oh my gosh, that was evil. We're still not back to 100% with that,
Oh,
but
that's crazy.
um, yeah, I kind of when that happened, I was like, oh, okay, I can kind of put that to rest. But it's like scratching at the back still. Like, no, that wasn't it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know what it could be. I'm not. I don't feel like I am a super reliable, mundane predictive. Um, but there is definitely something wrong with the patterns. Like things are
Yeah.
just not adding up.
Yeah. There's just, I would have let it go. It's just that I keep when I saw that calendar and I was like, oh, that's super interesting. Well, we'll see how it goes. And sometimes I forget about it. That means it dissipates. Like, it starts to lose its energy a little bit. But when it
Hmm.
keeps popping back up, then it's when I'm like, it hasn't gone away. It hasn't gone away. And so, I hear that or I feel that, and I'm just like, so interesting. Yeah. And I'm hoping that it does go away. I mean, we still got some
Yeah,
time for it to start fizzling out, maybe possibly.
right. And you and I are comfortable enough in our development where we can wholeheartedly say we are wrong sometimes.
Yeah,
We could
absolutely.
we could have the wrong beat on this. Um, we could, but
It also
there's
could change.
yes,
And
yes,
and
and
we
it
all
could
have free
change.
will and things can change and based on someone else's decision of like not doing it, there you go,
Yeah.
and it changes. And that's the one thing I always do when I talk and I have clients and, they're just like, what do you see me doing in the near future, work wise? And I'm like, well, this is what I'll see. However, that is based on the trajectory that we're on right now. Free will's
Mm-hmm.
free will's very interesting and someone can change their mind and it changes the outcore, the outcome of things to come. And a lot of people will say, well, that's a cop out. Well, it is maybe for you, but it is life. And we
Right.
all have free will. So, it is what it
Life
is. I
and
can just give you what I think is going to be happening. And that's based on what's going on right now. you
right.
know,
And life is complicated. Life
life is
is
complicated.
incredibly complicated. People wouldn't come and ask us the questions that they ask us if life wasn't complicated,
Exactly right.
and
We would
all
all
we
have
can
the
do is,
answers.
right. All we can do is see from our perspective. And this is something that I think both you and I are seeing from
Yeah.
different perspectives, but kind of both pointing to
This
sort of the same
the same
things.
thing. Hmm.
Like this is off. This
And
is
I
weird.
haven't heard many other people talk about it. So I'd be interested to see if others, are like you said, sometimes you have those dreams and then other people are having the same dreams. I mean, they a little bit different, but they all kind of balance to the same thing. So I'd be interested to see if you guys are psychic mediums and you guys are listening to this and you have some feelings and or dreams that possibly align with what I'm feeling or Eli's feeling for the end of August. I'd love to hear from you and see. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I felt like I really wanted to do this podcast and talk about all these things that was happening with the Charlie Kirk thing. I I don't know. That whole thing was bananas. And I think the reason why I really wanted to do it is all those like little weird things that I still don't know what they mean, like the 6612 and the 6614 and the one, that stuff like that. Could it mean something different for somebody else? And maybe they would understand it.
Yeah.
Maybe it would help, or something. Like for, the I was telling you about that one in my dream, they took me to that building and he kept calling it the Pink Bar. And I was
Hmm.
like, well, what the hell is that? And trust me, I've Googled in Fort Huachuca Pink Bar and I've Googled in the Hamptons Pink Bar and to see if it was like a real place or a real thing. But if there's human trafficking involved, could it mean something else?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, but maybe someone that works within that type of field, even if they're the good guys trying to help people, maybe they would understand that better. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I just feel like that's really, really interesting that I was even picking up human trafficking back then too. Um, I just feel like it's, and then Candace has been finding all these people, and lo and behold, they're somehow connected to human trafficking and stuff. So it's just bizarre. It's crazy.
It is. It's a whole big bunch of crazy. And
Yeah.
even objectively looking at it, it's just from the purely factual, objective stance, it's a whole big bunch of crazy. So we can't really expect our psychic impressions to be different.
No.
You know?
Yeah. No, it's well, and then we all pick up on things differently. So,
Yep.
and I try to explain that to other people as well, is people will come up to me and say, this one psychic told me this. What does it mean? Like, I don't know because I'm not them and I don't know how they pick up things. I am more emotional. I feel the feelings. I get the visions. It could mean something totally different to me than it does to you, and that's the problem. And that's life.
Yeah.
That's just being a human. So,
Yes. We can't be experts in everything.
no, absolutely
We're not
not.
meant to be. Like,
Yeah. And we don't claim to be.
no.
We all just do some weird shit.
Yes. And sometimes that weird shit is helpful and
And some,
we are happy when it's helpful.
yeah. And that's why we do this. And that's why
Yeah.
I do this. I did the podcast because sometimes our weird shit is helpful. And if that is how it works, then so be it. If one person calls me and says, holy crap, I got so much out of that episode, that's all I care about. That's all I care
Mhm.
about. So one life at a time. That's how we start changing the world, right?
Exactly.
Hey, Eli, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. That was a whole lot of stuff.
It was, we jumped down a big rabbit hole,
Yeah, we did.
but it's kind of necessary to kind of put it all together. And thank
Yeah.
you so much for having me. I'm always happy to be able to come and hang out with you here.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you could make it. And again, like I said earlier, was to Eli. I don't know if I said it on here, but I always feel like the people that show up to do the podcast, those are the people it was meant to be that way for whatever reason. And Eli is big on the woo woo. I am completely not, and learning. But I still don't gravitate towards it. Isn't that crazy? Like I still just like I feel like I'm so left brain sometimes that I just it just gets in the way sometimes. But so it's a good yin and yang. Like that's why I was super happy that it was me and you today. So
Yeah.
yeah, Anna was bummed. She couldn't make it. Um, and so she said hello, but she's got a lot of stuff on her plate this week as well. So, but we'll catch up with all those guys later because we
Yeah.
are doing that John Doe
Yeah. Yeah. So
for
fill out my
sure.
notes.
Groovy because that's next. And I feel like it's very interesting. I don't know. I got some weird shit on that one.
Did too.
Okay, good. Yay, that makes me happy. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Love to hear your thoughts. Chime in, do me a huge favor and like and follow. That really, really helps. And we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.